Grand evening, everybody. Om Shanti, Namaste, greetings, Salam Alaikum, Ashe Hotep. One love to you all. I hope you are all feeling fabulous this evening and ready for the beginning of this Gita course. Science of the Bhagavad Gita. Oh my word, we've hit that cornerstone, people. And the Gita is such a profound piece of literature. Profound. And it is only right. I mean, I could just jump into the Gita straight away and start reading verses and this and that. But we have to understand how the Gita come into play, the history, the circumstances, and who the main character is. The main character being Krishna, the black one. Now, many of you may be in this disposition to say, "Why, I know about the Bible, I know about the Quran, but this Gita thing, I never hear about this Gita thing yet." And me kind of hear about it in the past, but me never too sure about it because you say, you know, it coming like it's a Hindu thing and baby and play and so forth. And I, you know, as much as I keep saying that, you know, the Hindu thing is, you know, I don't even want to get into the subject too deep because the word Hindu was given to the set of people, the indigenous people of India, by the rude British. They enforced the name on these indigenous people, and it was taken and accepted over a period of time as, okay, we're Hindus. And it's a crying shame to see what's happened over many years, you know, even down to Africa. Africa was never originally called Africa, you know, and, you know, again, Africa, the word means Africa, means to divide. Our original names were Kushites, Nagas, and these type of connotations, not Africans. Africans is a modern day word. So is Hindu, a modern day word that's been given to class a particular set of society according to people that wanted to enslave and change the narration. Now, outside of, you know, understanding what falls under the pretext of Hindu, when we're talking about divinity, divinity has no culture. Divinity has no sort of reference to culture. It's we mere humans who like to grasp onto these concepts. And thank you, my dear son. Bless you so much. I'm shivering him, just bring me a cup of tea, and he's upstairs cooking dinner. Bless his heart. And I know he wants to be here with me. Bless him, he's so sweet. But okay. Right, so yeah, when we're talking about a particular concept of divinity, it has to come from a place that has got nothing to do with a culture. And this is where most cultures get it wrong. In fact, where all cultures get it wrong, because God is not partial to your culture, to your birth, to your disposition in life as to whether you want to call yourself, if you're up the ladder or down the ladder or whatever the case may be. And tonight we are going to be going through some things because, okay, the first thing that what I want to challenge tonight or put across tonight, dare I say, is establishing who Krishna is. Now, this could have easily been a 4-hour session. I've literally just deleted 20 slides again And I thought last time I done 50 slides, and I know it was a hardcore one, but I don't want to keep you up all forever and ever, amen. So and then I know I've got 8 weeks to deliver this course, so I can really break it down into proper bite-sized sections for you and don't bore you to death or don't tire you out and have you waiting on me. So tonight's still going to be powerful and interesting to lay the first foundation of understanding who Krishna is, not was. And in the case of, when we say who Krishna was, we're referring to a point of time of his manifestation upon this planet. Now, this is where the whole big argument starts to kick in, because people are going to say, well, Krishna was somebody that walked this planet. So how could that be God? How could that be God if him have 2 feet and 2 hands, and him have mouth and head and eyes and all of these things? When we look at the idea of even down to Genesis, and this is the thing about the Bible, Quran. Many of these, let's go with the Bible. In the Bible it says, God made man in his own image. Now, verily, we run from the understanding, in the understanding of what do you mean, what image? What image could God have? And this and then worst of all, how could this image of God that is limitless find a way to manifest on this planet? It just doesn't make sense. It just really does not make sense to try and conjure it up. And even in my path of understanding, of taking on Vedanta knowledge and becoming a Krishnaist myself, it was a path of, it didn't happen overnight. And it was one of those things that I said to myself, something, I'm not going to be ignorant. I'm not just going to say, no, man, I foolishness that. Because the first thing that Krishna says is learn of me through my knowledge. And if you find it appropriate to call me Supreme Personality of Godhead and work accordingly with it, then you can. But if you think it's one bag of foolishness, leave it alone, walk away. It's not for you. Or if you do find it worthwhile, now try and forget me. Now try and wipe me out of your memory. Make it mythological. And get the goodness out of it for yourself, just like I did when I came across this knowledge. And, like I said, when it came to Krishna, the black one, the man that walked the earth, I was thinking, okay, all of these aspects, I have to take time and grew my own level of understanding, faith, belief, commitment, and to the whole thing. In Gita, Krishna says, when I transcend upon these earthly planes, because he's doing this right across the universe, he's consistently performing his duties. And you don't think God has duties. He says in Gita, if he fails to do his duties, then the whole thing will collapse. And he says, when he transcends into a human-like form, fools derive him thinking that he's normal, not realizing that he's in a transcendental state, in a transcendental body. When he was in the war of Kurukshetra, Krishna was 125 years old and didn't look a day past 18. Now, we might be saying, wow, that's amazing. Have you got proof for that? Actually, yeah, I have tons of it, tons. So today, my thing is not only just proving Krishna, but understanding why Krishna even came in the first place. Why? There was a prayer. Things was getting so bad on this planet. Things was getting so bad. It was coming up to the stage where, do you remember when I was talking about in the last stage of way of life. Someone's waiting to enter the room. Let me just let them in. Right, when I was talking about the way of life, and the last course when I was talking about good evening, Sister Joyful. I hope you are very, very well. I like the name Joyful. Stay joyful, sister. So, the last course, way of life, when I was talking about the ages of Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga. When it was coming into Kali Yuga, things was going so bad. They literally done a ceremony of prayers that lasted for months, upon where priests, sages who are adept in transcending and coming out of their physical bodies and approaching the spiritual skies, they literally went to the spiritual skies and said, you know, to the divine beings of the spiritual skies and said, yo, this earthly planet we need some earth, my this thing gone bad, you know, and this is all documented in Vedanta. We need some intervention. It can't be just on that level of hearsay anymore. We need an intervention at this point. And the message that was received was divinity is on its way. Divinity is on its way. And, you know, it's very hard for man to understand the level of miracles. It's very hard for man to understand himself. We are in this big old predicament thinking that we are the body. We are the body, not realizing that this body is a vehicle. This body is not who we are. You understand? Worst of, when it is said, let me just put my phone on silent. When it is said that the super soul is within us, we are the very thing that divinity is expressing itself to be. I.e., when we really unite with Paramatma, we are exactly the same as Krishna. We are exactly the same as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is Supreme Personality? There's a word there, personality. Now, okay, the biggest thing that we all have to face when it comes down to understanding the position of an idea of God, Godhead, Supreme Personality, anyhow we want to term it, the biggest obstacle that we have is taking it from a point of external reference where God is just everything and nothing, and bringing it to a point where we can accept that God can be his own self. He has the right to be his own self. Now, most of mankind doesn't want to give God that attribute or that ability for him to be his own self, for him to have his own point of view, for him to have his own point of reference as to where he is coming from as the absolute, not from divine energies or the all or the Brahmanical aspect and all of these things. No, from a personal point of view, that God can be personal. If you can be personal, why cannot God be personal? If you can be you, why cannot God be God? God made us in his own image. now, when we're talking about image, that image is beyond what the flesh shows us. But the body that we are born with, that we are blessed with, is if you want to call it, a predisposition of our karmic gatherings over many, many lifetimes. This body that we find ourselves in, we literally designed it. We designed the body that we are in. You know, we say that our parents gave us this body through flesh and so forth and all of that, so forth. That's part and parcel of it. But the deeper side of it is that we designed this body. We sit comfortably in our bodies so we can be who we want to be, according to the level of understanding of who we are. It's a very, very, very deep concept. You know, there's knowledge that points out that we pick our parents before we come to this plane. We could pick our parents, we pick our circumstances that are in order for us to learn the lessons that we choose to learn this lifetime. And then when we're born, we completely forget about it. And we fall back into the trap of being nurtured and cultured by parents, grandparents, all of these things, and we forget about our innate guiding system that is there from that's been there, that's never left us. It's a part of our eternal gift. You know, that guiding system that guides us back to Godhead, that guides us back to the fullness of who we are. And you know what? Let me just dive into the presentation, because it's just so much. It's so much. So let's, you know, for the sake of just building the case, let's look at who Krishna was from an earthly perspective, and we slowly build up. We slowly build up. From because we're on earth. Let's see what position he decided to be born in, and all of these things and so forth. And then we can come to our conclusion, and then we're going to look into the Gita and listen to the type of things that was coming out. What is this literature that's actually gripped the world? The Gita is such that you can just read the Gita and forget about the rest of the Vedas. But the aspect of certain, what do you want to call it, principles that one needs to follow and adhere to the teachings of the Gita, they're so high. They're so high. Now you need the Vedas to help you build up and get there. So they work hand in hand with each other. They work hand in hand with the slow progression and the cultivation of understanding of self, understanding of karma, understanding of how you appropriate your process of thinking while you are engaged in action. How do you nullify any karmic reaction from the actions that you are doing, that you are performing? How do you reach that place of heroicness? And you can, because most of, you know, let's take Christianity, or, you know, many aspects of Vedanta will tell you that, you know, outside of understanding it from a Gita perspective or a dharmic perspective, many people will say, why this world hard, it rough, there's no love, and blah, blah, whatnot, and it is, you know, the Christian angle is that, you know, the world is evil, Satan rule the world, and all of these things, when nothing like that, Gossip. Not you wrote, at the end of the day, you rule you. And if you don't take control of you and groom you, your own consciousness, your own point of reference to how and where you sit in the world, then you will never find that place where you are enjoying life. And that process of enjoying life leads you to liberation, leads you to moksha, leads you to a higher place within, and leads you to a place of great magnetism. So, I could dive into this thing, yeah, because I don't even need the screen to be, I could just sit here and talk, but I want to keep this kind of concise in a way that we understand the flow. So I don't want to sound sporadic and so forth and all of these things. Whew. This one's gonna be deep, people. Hold on to your shirt tails. Remember me tell you, hold on to your shirt tail pan this one. This one's gonna shake the core of your being. The core of your inner being. This one's gonna shake you hard. And then when we get into by the time we get into reading the scriptures, you're gonna say, oh God, thank you, brother, to just you start to ease my spirit a little bit. Now me understand. Now me get it. Now me get it. Yeah, all right. Read. So the other thing that I'm going to do, I've got a copy of the Gita for all of you. I've got a PDF copy which I'm going to be sending to you. I've gone through many versions of the Gita and I've been looking for the most neutral one that sticks to the message, rather than sticking or trying to bring in cultural references. I've looked and searched as much as I can to find particular ones that will keep you on track with understanding the message. Okay? So, I will be asking Sister Letitia to post this out to everybody that's in this group tonight, or everyone that's on the Science of the Bhagavad Gita course. So, here we are. Here's the first depiction. And this is one of the most famous pictures that you see. And this is at the time of the Battle of Kurukshetra, where Krishna and Arjuna find themselves in a very difficult predicament. Krishna doesn't see it as any form of predicament at all, but Arjuna is perplexed. He's in this whole dramatized disposition. He's gone through life. And he's seen the turmoil, he's seen this, he's seen that, he's seen the breakdown of Dharma, he's seen the what do you call it? The infiltration and the perversion of the knowledge right in front of his face. He's seen so much things in his own family that is disgusted. And he's saying to his face, nah, man, this is not righteous. And this is the problem, most of the time, we don't stand up against righteousness. We just kind of let it go and we say, oh, well, the wicked are in control and we have to be, have to go with the flow, And right at the beginning of the war, Arjuna lost his composure. He bottled it. He literally bottled it. And he was like, Krishna, I can't fight. Imagine this, the night before the war, you've got your friends, you've got your family, you got every well-wishers, everybody's wishing you well on the war tomorrow. Everybody's wishing, I'm gonna say I fight tomorrow. And I wish you all the best of luck and all of this. And this is actually part of the script that you see in Mahabharata and leading texts up to the War of Kurukshetra, which is principally explained in the Bhagavad Gita. This is when the war is going to begin. And the night before, he's got his family, his friends, Arjuna, I know you're angry, I know you want to go to war, I wish you well, brother, my pranams to you, I wish you all the best. And then in the morning, you see them same very people on the other side with arrows, everything ready to gun you down. Your same well-wishers are ready to gun you down, ready to tear the life out of your chest. Now, this is one of the things when I was talking about the allegory of the cave. This is one of the things what I was talking about, the polarities of the righteous, the rightfulness inside, the right, you know, the higher you reach that vibration of inner respect, inner appropriateness, you start tapping into that vibration of the Paramatma. You start to tap into that vibration of the higher self, the inner love. The world thinks that you're gone mad. The world thinks that you're done stupid. What are you on? Come on, man, stop that. You need to be upset like me. You need to be vexed. How come you're not vexed? Actually, I'm gonna make it my mission to make sure that you're vexed. This is what we find. People want to tear us away from the place of joy where we find ourselves. They want to bring us right back down to misery. They want to bring us right back down to this place of, you know, lack of self-worth, lack of confidence, lack of. Now, what do you see? You know, God bless these artists. You know, I've still got a kind of gripe on my shoulder. You know, but I try my best not to kind of make it bother me per se. You know, but I can see a particular depiction here of the, you know, both of them are obviously of two different sort of skin tones. And it was said that Krishna was so black, he was black till he was blue. But I'm sure he wasn't light blue like that. That's taking it a little bit too far. You know, that's taking it. So God bless the artist in trying to depict the difference between the two, if you want to call it races. And the thing to really note here in the fact that they're of two different races, you know, if Krishna was more blacker than Arjuna, and Arjuna was blacker than what you see on this thing, on this picture, but it shows you that there's a level of unification, if I want to use it as that, as in to say, you know, Arjuna's disposition at the time of the war, when he realized that everybody's against him, and the same people, you know, on the other sides. Now, these were, you're gonna, you know, there were Kshatriyas, there were Brahmins, there were, you know, what you would consider Hindus, Shivites, everyone, Ganesh followers. You know, at the beginning of the war, the other side, they were literally, you know, chanting to the heavens, all of this and all of that, and one bag of something praying down, you know, trying to pray down and bring down, you know, torment. And the main aspect of what this whole war is about is that what Krishna's trying to prove, what Krishna proved, because they won the war. What Krishna proved is that, you know, and it was an army, it was the 5 Pandavas and their armies versus 100 armies. And the point was, no matter how bad you think you are, could be 1,000 armies, you will never overthrow righteousness. Okay? The small army of righteousness, the 5 Pandavas, which represented the 5 aspects of truth, versus 100 desires, 100 notions of greed, 100 notions of hate, jealousy, and all of these things, and versus the small aspect of righteousness, It conquered the evil doers, the evil practitioners. Now the thing is, in the concept of evil, they was trying to use what was righteous and make it evil. They were using mantras that normally would be used for righteous scenarios and using it for evil outcomes, personal gains, so forth. Anyway, let's really look at it from a ground zero basis and build the case, okay? Let's start right from the bottom and work our way back to this position of when the war began. We have to go right back. We can't just start at the beginning of the war. So let's look at the big picture and then bring it into concept, bring it into perspective. So, see me there again now. We're going deep already. Okay, India and Africa have a shared history in trade, music, religion, arts, and architecture. But the historical link between these two diverse regions is rarely discussed. They hide this. This is another thing that was muffed over by the Indo-Aryans, by the Indo-Europeans. Okay? Many Africans traveled to India and eventually settled in India to play an important role in India's history of kingdoms, conquests, and wars. This is fact. This is we don't have to get divine with this. This is historical fact. And we're going to start this debate, we're going to start this case building with historical facts, okay? Ethiopia. See, then now everybody say, Lord God, with their India 1 minute, now the man I talk about Ethiopia. Royal Judge, this thing gone deep already. Well on, Tarun. Ethiopia is an ancient land of varied and rich history. It is a country where more than 80 ethnic groups of people having different cultures, traditions, and religions lived together for centuries in peace and harmony. Now, where does that, we've heard this before. We've heard this before. This is the Vedantic way. This is the Vedantic way where we don't shove on a man's whatever he wants to call it, whatever preference you want to do, whatever practice you want to do, roll on. We're here to support the whole. Vedanta is not one-minded. It embraces all. It embraces all and helps to groom, no matter where you are, from an atheistic point of view to a fully realized soul. This is the purpose of the Vedas, Vedanta. It takes you from ground zero to the end game, okay? And Ethiopia people, before pre-Vedic times, this is where we find the root of this behavior. We're going to be looking at not so much, this is cultural behavior that we're looking at here. And this is what was meant to, this is the model that was meant to be fashioned in anywhere Africans, Ethiopians traveled across the world. This is the core knowledge, mindset that they were bringing, because there was counteracting with different people and different mindsets. And a lot of the prehistoric, if you want to call it, cultural growths were you see this a lot in Vedantic scriptures, and you find it in a lot of other scriptures outside of Vedanta. There used to be many, gathering places where many philosophers would gather and speak on different ideas and ideologies of life. And they will speak and they will debate and they will confer notes, and one would be trying to out-talk this one, and this one comes with this aspect of knowledge which was far superior than X, Y, or Z. But the cultural grooming of many philosophies that we know now right across the world started with these gathering places where people met and shared philosophical ideas. And the idea behind these philosophical ideas was about creating an atmosphere of peace and harmony so people can practice their dharma without insult and offense. Hope you're with me. Right. Ethiopia is a country situated in the Horn of Africa. It is the second most populous nation in Africa, bordered by Eritrea to the north, Djibouti to the northeast, Somalia to the southeast, Kenya to the south, and Sudan to the west. Ethiopia is the oldest independent country in Africa and one of the oldest in the world, recently being regarded as the cradle of civilization. Okay? This is the type of regard that Ethiopia has. Let's turn the page. Abyssinians, I'm sure you've all heard that before, especially with Selassie. So, Abyssinians, also known as Habshis in India, mostly came from the Horn of Africa. You can see Africa there, the Horn there in the orange area. That's Ethiopia right there. Okay, so came to the Horn of Africa to the subcontinent. Africans were successful in India because of their military prowess and administrative skills. People ain't, it was a why. Just as the pin, and I know, Ethiopia was probably one of the last countries, and I'm not even sure if they've ever been colonized. Ethiopia is one of those countries that has stayed strong in its stance against colonization. That whole period of Emperor Selassie, the same thing about colonization. The Italians got in there for about 4 years and they were kicked right out quicker than they even got in. When they got in, they got in on terms where they, it wasn't as colonizing as they thought they would be. Like I said, they were kicked out within 4 years. So the power, the level of like when I spoke of Yajurveda, and understanding how military science came together for the understanding of many nations, many of our people right across the world. Remember, we black people as a whole, it's not just Africa, it's not just India, it's not just Aborigines, it's not, we're everywhere. And what we have to realize is that in strength in numbers, strengths in mindsets, is when we decide to hold each other's hands from regardless what subcontinent we come from, and share the knowledge that we have from all what we've gathered from all of these subcontinents. Now we are powerful. This is why you must have heard that saying before. It's important to travel. When you travel, you learn, you see more insights, you witness life on a deeper level. So, when we travel and meet our counterparts in other parts of the world, and they share with us their knowledge and their insights and their understandings of life, then we're empowered even more. So at no stage are we to disregard any of our ancestors, regardless of what subcontinent they come from. It's important because we set the tone for everything. That's how it is. That's nature. It's not my fault. That's how it goes. That's it is. So African men were employed in very specialized jobs as soldiers, palace guards or bodyguards. They were able to rise through the ranks, becoming generals, admirals, and administrators, as well as kings, rulers, governors, priests, shamans, Brahmins, the whole lot. Now, the major gift of the Naga. Let me just go back. All right, it will come up. The major gift of the Naga to India was the writing system, Devanagari. Nagari is the name for the Sanskrit script. Okay, Devanagari is the spoken, Sanskrit is the written. Okay, linguistic scholars has pointed out that the ancient Ethiopic and Sanskrit writings are one and the same. We'll come across some things tonight. It is explained that this was supported by the fact that both writing systems, the writing went from left to right and the vowels were annexed to the consonants. Today, Eurocentric scholars teach that the Indians taught writing to the Ethiopians. This is what Eurocentric people taught. Euro, in the idea of perversing the knowledge, perversing the course of truth. Okay? Yet, the name Nagari for Sanskrit betrays the Ethiopian origin of this form of writing. In Ge'ez, Ge'ez is the language of Ethiopia. Okay? In Ge'ez, the term Naga means speech, to speak. Thus, we have in Ge'ez, with the additions of pronouns, Nagara, he spoke, Nagarat, she spoke, and Nagaku, I spoke. Okay? And it's funny, Devanagari, they spoke. Moreover, it is interesting to note that Sanskrit vowels, a, I, U, E, O, Virama, etc. are in the same order as Ge'ez. Boy, I'm not even gonna tally because you can see where this whole thing is going. The Naga introduced worship of Kali. Kali was the deity that was brought into retrospect at the time of Kali Yuga. The Naga, the serpent, Murugan, and the sun or Krishna. It is interesting that Krishna, who is associated with the sun, means the black one. Hold on tight, people. We're going deep tonight. Over time, the Nagas were absorbed into the Dravidian population. Today, the Naga civilization is recognized by researchers as Dravidians. So where did the Nagas come from? Ethiopia. The Nagas were Ethiopian. Today, the Naga civilization is recognized by researchers as the Dravidians, the unspoken tribe of India. The unspoken tribe of India. The unspoken, nobody know what I mentioned about the Dravidians. Like, yes, I know, yes, please don't talk, yes, we know this thing, very good, you know your history, you know good, this is very good, but please, okay? Etymologically speaking, the Sanskrit word Krishna means black or dark. At times, it is also translated as all attractive. According to Vedanta, Lord Krishna is the true one and only black Dravidian god above all gods. I could literally stop right now, you know. I hope you lot are getting something out of this. Serious. According to Vedanta, Lord Krishna is the true, not Hindu, okay, one and only black, not Indian, Dravidian, Naga, Ethiopian descent, God above all gods. Vedas, Puranas, Shastras, Ramayana, and Mahabharata, etc., are all purely Dravidian texts. They're all Sanskrit writings. They all go back to the core. What we have to realize is that when we traveled, we brought language. We brought language with us. We developed language in our walks. We shared aspects of language. The Ge'ez language has 240 letters. The Ge'ez language is one of the Ethiopian languages, probably the hardest language in the entire world to learn. And out of that comes segments. So Vedanta, arising from Ge'ez, you could say it's the divine aspect of that language. When we're talking of divinity, we talk Sanskrit, we talk Vedanta. You understand? So, we're going deep. So, this whole journey is understanding how Krishna was transformed from a tribal deity to a supreme God. And what do I mean by transformed? This is that transformation has got nothing to do with Krishna. It's our mindsets. Our mindsets in understanding and relating who is this black personality that we are dealing with. And for the whole entirety of Krishna's lifetime, you know, Dravidians, you know, they were movers. They moved around the place. It's almost, you know, in one sense you could have called them gypsy-like in their notion, because they were travelers. They were travelers, and the tribe that Krishna was a tribe called the Vrishni tribe, which was a part of the Yadava clan. And everything back then, as you can appreciate, was clans, tribes, and so forth. And now, in the sense of the tribe that Krishna came through, there was not much regard for this tribe. The Dravidians of this time, of his time, they weren't looked They weren't looked up to. They were looked down on. They were persecuted. They were bullied. They were trampled on. They were taxed heavy. The fact that part of Krishna, part of his childhood, most of his childhood, he was a cow herder. He used to herd the cows with his father Vasudeva, and herding the cows at the time. If the cow ate from a piece of land that belonged to a certain king, they had to pay taxes for the cows to eat on that land. They had to pay taxes anywhere they brought their cows. They had to pay tax. And on top of paying the tax, they had to give the producers of what the cows would, in terms of milk and butter, a great portion of what they would manufacture in their own. They had kingsmen that used to come and torment them for half of the stuff that they used to make, and it was land tax. You have all these cows and so forth. And you see, when Krishna came of age, I think, God bless if it was 3 or 4, he's saying, listen, no more tax, no more royalty tax for these people. And that's when the whole thing kicked off. From Krishna start putting his foot down from a little child. And there's history even before that. There's history before that even on how he came, the turbulence of how he had to come into the world. But the fact that where he was brought up in a tribe setting, gypsy kind of setting, where he's given the least regard. He wasn't even given the title as a prince. He was given as like, how old is this little black boy? Who is this black one who's running up his mouth saying that he ain't gonna pay no tax? That he ain't gonna send no butter to the king? That he ain't gonna do this, he ain't gonna do that? Where does he come from? Who's this? How comes he's just upsetting the whole cart? Where's this little white have mouth? And he would convince the whole entire tribe as a little child not to follow the kings of the time that was taking liberties with their people. He said, no, man, I no can't say the thing, man. No, man. This is how it goes. And the thing is, as a little child, the narrative that he used to give the whole tribe, that's a boy, Krishna is true, Boy, you're right, you're right. Maybe we shouldn't pay taxes. Maybe we shouldn't give them no ghee. Maybe we shouldn't play their game. And every time, they decided not to play the game, the wrath from the kings would increase, the wrath. Many times their villages got burnt down because of. Many times their dwellings were stripped because of. Now, Krishna, look, you said this, and now look what they're doing. And he said, don't worry, we have something for them. Them go on with them foolishness. And every time they would triumph and come to a point of victory. Until one time now, when Krishna reached 18, he's saying, something, it's time for me to leave the village and go to town and go sort out this king. This king I get on my nerves. And then I push the button too much. I'm gonna deal with it. And the king was like a proper demonized character. Demon. But we're gonna get into that. Let me not run out the story. I'm just giving you the backdrop so we build up slowly. So first of all, he's found in the circumstance of where you just wouldn't give it no credit. You just would not give it no attention. It's like, yo, these a little black boy supposed to just wall your corner and just sit down with your tribesman and give me the milk and give me the butter and just settle on yourself, just like how tribes was doing before you reach and before you come. Right now, just settle yourself. And Krishna was like, no, that's not how it goes around here, mate. Sorry, mate. Chat your nonsense. It's not working like that. And they would send demons. They would send evildoers evil practitioners, and every single one of them from Krishna, Bim, I take them out, wipe them out, destroy them. None of them survived to tell the tale today. He was victorious in every single case. Whatever these tyrants would put on his people, he would protect them and find a resolve to put them in a place of joy. So, Krishna is the most popular deity of the Puranic Vedic pantheon. A warrior, a child god of the pastoral tribe, as cowherding, a preacher, and the love deity. His saga is an amalgamation of many disparate elements in one harmonious and coherent whole. So that disposition of where you see him is a simple cowherd boy, a simple in this position, he's found a way to teach the whole world. He doesn't need a throne, he doesn't need no palace, he doesn't need none of this and none of that. You know, as a child, he can manage, he can teach, he can conduct, he can call on the elements, he can perform miracles. But we're not even going to look at all of that yet. We're just going to look at exactly, we're building the case here, slowly, we're building the case, okay? Building the case. Krishna's journey begins as a hero of the Vishnu tribe, part of the Yadava clan, and ends with him being hailed as the Vishnu incarnate. Now, by the time everybody clock on and said, why? Well, I saw him go on. You can't stop this man. He can't be. Nah, there's something going on. Listen, even the sages, the demigods, this Krishna had everybody asking, who is this guy? But he must be. First they pitched him here. Said, no man, he's bigger than that man. He must be here. No man, the way I'm going, he must be here. Can't you see he's not aging? He must be here. Can't you see he's invincible? Can't you see? And it just kept going. We ain't even got to sit, until, when it comes to Gita and Arjuna and Krishna's talking and Krishna's told everything to Arjuna and Arjuna saying to Krishna, wow, Krishna, you must be the supreme personality of God that tell me all of these things, because I've never heard nothing like this in my life. And guess what? It sounds good, and I believe you. I believe, but there's one little bit I need you just to imagine. You've been instructed and given all of this, and you still, this is humans for you. You still have doubt. You still have doubt. Arjuna's after the wall of the talking, chapter 10 gone. One of the most powerful chapters in Gita. And Arjuna's going, wow, that is amazing, wow. But as I'm in this physical form and I'm, I've got these two eyes and, I'm in a man. Can you not just show me one little thing just to show me that you really are? She said, okay, I will. We'll get there. But again, just to stick a pin that there is always doubt in man's mind as to when we're relating to someone and we're trying to measure them up, we always want to see ourselves bigger than the person that we're measuring up. And if we don't see, it's either they're really great or they're all right. When someone's really great, then we say, okay, that person's great and so forth. But there's always some measurement going off. Like, we don't want to give nobody no credit. And at that time, it was never a habit. It was never a, what's the word? It was never a course of action to give a Dravidian any form of title. Way. So when after he's done what he's done, he's proved what he's proved, he's lived his life and all, people are saying, nah man, that's not no normal black boy from some Yadava clan and so forth. We can appreciate now why he came through the Yadava clan. We can appreciate why he was a Dravidian. Otherwise we wouldn't get it. If he was one of us, then we'd have taken it even for more granted. But the fact that he came through the channels of that which we persecuted. He came through the channels of that which we persecuted for no reason more than our egos. He came through the channels of which we persecuted to karmically lay out the infrastructure and teach us a lesson. He came through that channel so we can get the beating that we desire. These little aspects, these little things, this is where it kind of gets a little bit scary per se, especially when you're talking to hardened, quote unquote, Hindus, because there's an aspect of understanding here that the Hindu way was at the core of the battle of Kurukshetra, and this is exactly what Krishna was fighting. Exactly that. The war of Kurukshetra was based on the complete perversion of the spiritual path, which is now narrated and exercised in a perverse manner that's mashed up the whole of society and disregarding human life to a level that has become unbearable. You see it? So, by the 2nd century BCE, Vedic worship had become rigid and Vedic sacrifices expensive. Alongside, now this 2nd century BCE, this is actually after the war of Kurukshetra. Just to jump a little bit forward, I'll go back in shortly. Alongside this, Buddhism was gaining ground, fueled by King Ashok's propaganda. The large-scale entry of foreign invaders, such as the Shakas, who were favorably inclined towards Buddhism and other popular cults, weakened the authority of the priestly class. Moreover, listen to this, improved economic conditions of the lower Varnas challenged caste rules. Hence, as Suvira Jaiswal argues in her book, the origin and development of Vaishnavism. I'm a Vaishnava, by the way. The origin and development of Vaishnavism. Brahmins seized upon the devotional cult of Vasudeva Krishna and recognized its integral authenticity. All efforts were made to infuse Brahmanical social ethics into this popular cult and re-establish their authority. Because after the war of Kurukshetra, Brahmins lost their authority. After the war of Kurukshetra, there was no Brahmin on the land that could say that there was any worth of any value. And the only way that they managed to get back value in this age of Kali was to infuse the integral authenticity of the practices and ways of the Vaishnavas. Okay? And then re-establish their authority. Like to say, yes, We know this all along, we knew blah, 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 dee-da. You gotta remember, the Brahmins of time, at the war of Kurukshetra, there was no Brahmins on Arjuna's side. There was no Brahmins on Krishna's side. There was not all the Brahmins, all the sages, all the warrior them, all of them, there was beating drum and singing song in favor of Duryodhana to win the war. They was all praying for Bhishma to be successful. They was all praying for unrighteousness to win. The Brahmins. And the whole thing was destroyed in the war of Kurukshetra. So really, the only reason why they rose again is because we are in the age of Kali. And their process of re-emergence was to take an imprint from the Vaishnav methodology of worship, or the Vaishnav methodology of authenticity, the way of life of a Vaishnav, of a Vasudeva Krishna, and bring it into their thing and say, okay, now take this and put it in an image, like say, yes, now you should become a Vaishnav, you should become Bhakti Yoga, you should become... They weren't singing that on the battlefield. They were singing something completely different. Anyway, make we move on because I will eat, man, I forgot you. I don't want to kill you tonight because, like I'm saying, I'm just laying the foundation. So, Krishna, pronounced Krishna. Now, it even goes back further, Krishna. You don't even make an effort to pronounce the A, it's Krishna. The way says Krishna, that's not, it's Krishna. You're not even supposed to pronounce the A, Krishna. That's why you see the A kind of inverted upside down, like bring it back in, Krishna. Okay? Sanskrit is a major deity in Vedanta. He is worshipped as the 8th avatar of Vishnu and also as the supreme God in his own right. He is the God of protection, compassion, tenderness, and love, and is one of the most popular and widely revered amongst all forms of divinity, regardless whether we're talking about Vedanta, whether we're talking about Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology. Krishna is most widely revered amongst all forms of divinity, not just Vedanta. The anecdotes and narratives of Krishna's life are generally titled as Krishna Leela. Now this is another Krishna Leela. Now, there's a saying in Vedanta, don't take life too serious, it's just a play. Don't take life too serious, it's just an illusion. And again, in that process of understanding that this is just an illusion, what is at play is not what we think is at play. The core message behind that is that we are not our bodies. This whole thing, we're dreaming that we are our bodies. We're dreaming that we are on this plane of existence, and this is the be-all and end-all of life. We're literally, I remember explaining this to someone before, living in this realm is like living in, you go deep sea diving and you put on a suit and you go deep under the water and you lay with the suit and the goggles and the breathing apparatus and all this. And because you're so dependent on the suit, a part of you, your consciousness, now believes that you're the suit. You and the suit are one. Similarly, such is like, and that's exactly the same as a human body. We're underwater, we're in the mundane sphere, we're in atoms and this and that and whatever. We're in a process of creation that says physicality more than non-physical. Now we are more non-physical than physical, but because we've got this, we've dived into this suit and we think that we're the be-all and end-all, the suit, we now completely forget that this is a leela. This suit predicts a, it's almost like when you're there arcade and you punch in a game and you have 3 life. And you did it, 1 life gone. 2 life gone, now you start fret. You're playing, oh my God, I lose the last life. Bam! You lose your last life. That's it, you gotta find more money, put in the machine and start the game again. This is what the physical body is. This is what the physical body is. And the physical body is playing out a leela. So, Krishna leela is more understanding of a divine aspect. Krishna leela is divine leela. According to that particular life and everything that happened in that life, or what it expressed in that life under the illusion. What did you learn under the illusion? And in Krishna leela, in Krishna's lifestyle, in the stories of his upbringing, the whole entire thing, you learn so much about life. It is completely, unbelievably profound. From hearing the stories outside of Bhagavad Gita, I'm just hearing the stories of his whole entire childhood and the self, and he's crossing over into adulthood and manhood and so forth. It's completely amazing, to the point where you have to say, boy, this is not human, this is not normal, and outside of it not being normal, have we got any proof that any of this actually ever happened? Now, the literature in terms of Bhagavad Gita for me is enough proof, because who else wrote it? And if Krishna didn't write it, who else wrote it? And if they, why have they put a different name to it? If they didn't, why don't they want to be Krishna when they said they wrote? What's going on here? Like, if Krishna said he wrote it, then he wrote it. If it's Krishna's words, it's Krishna's words. Okay, so he is a central character in the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Purana, the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, and the Bhagavad Gita, and is mentioned in many Vedic philosophical, theological, and mythological texts. They portray him in various perspectives: a godchild, a prankster. The reason why he's a prankster is that why nobody can fool God. And the age that we've come to in terms of crossing into Kali Yuga, everybody is trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes. Everybody's on this role of trying to dupe everybody. And this was the problem. Everybody's, the aspect of understanding who you are. You had no control over that. It was all lineage based. If you didn't have the right surname in them days, you were done for. You couldn't rise out of nothing. If you was a Dravidian, you could never have a house. It's straw hut for you all the way. And everybody was being robbed. So when Krishna came as the prankster was letting the whole world know, you cannot pull no pranks on me. I will pull the prank on you. Thinking, I win this one? My one, I'm going to show you who's the fool out of me and you, because you're trying to make a fool out of me. You're trying to make a fool out of me. You understand? And lo and behold, that prankster element that Krishna had, no one could make a fool out of him. He made a fool out of the most people, tribes, kings, everyone, just to prove that God, that godlike energy is the biggest prankster. Don't try and fool God. You will end up getting fooled. So, a model lover, a divine hero, and as the universal supreme being, his iconography reflects these legends and shows him in different stages of his life, such as an infant eating butter, a young boy playing a flute, and a young boy with Radha, or surrounded by women devotees, or a friendly charioteer giving counsel to Arjuna. Radha, a young boy with Radha. That is, again, Radharani is one of the most hidden secrets about aspects of understanding Krishna as a whole. Krishna, he's the masculine element of Godhead. Radharani represents the feminine aspect of Godhead. Okay, and we'll get into that even deeper as we go along. Okay. So, the name and synonyms of Krishna have been traced to first millennia BCE literature and cults. In some sub-traditions, Krishna is worshipped as Svayam Bhagavan, the supreme God, and it's sometimes known as Krishnaism. These sub-traditions arose in the context of the medieval era Bhakti movement. Let me just roll on because there's so much. There is sufficient evidence available now to suggest that Krishna was indeed a historical figure who lived about 5,000 years ago. This evidence is not just literary, but also archaeological, geographical, as well as astronomical. So scientists have been on this to, and it's not even scientists of what I've called notoriety, because you have some scientists that are working for demons, and when you hear something like, we've heard that marijuana can cure cancer. The THC element in marijuana gels with the DNA and it boosts the immune system and helps it to kill cancer cells and so forth. Has been proven, but there's not enough trials and not enough studies done for us to say that this is a legitimate way of healing any patient. Why? What do you mean? Look how much ganja there around the world. What do you mean you can't do the test? Do the test, no man. No. For years, cancer. To be, you can cure cancer with many things, and as I'm just using the marijuana as a thing, because it's pure, it's natural, it's something that resonates with the body, especially the THC and the THC cells, and with THC receptors in the brain and all over the body and so forth, and that allows the cells to wake up and do what they're supposed to do. The problem with marijuana and these things is that because they've been resold to us through the process of smoking, and now it's really dangerous. Now you're messing up yourself because you're no longer using it as a medicine. You're using it as a vice, which is outside of medicinal practices. You're not going to get any healing like that. But they're happy for you to roll on doing that. But the minute you start talking about something natural to help cure millions of people across the planet, not just black people, everybody, white, pink, blue, Asian, African, whatever. They don't want it because why? They can't make the money off it, they can't control it, they can't You understand? So they, you know, that scientific approach will never happen. Not enough scientific research has been done. Oh, you must want this. You must want the people that are sick. So in this way, you do have some genuine scientists that are out there to prove the cause, or, you know, they come across certain aspects of it. Because again, Gita, Bhagavad Gita, and many of these things, they have scientific reasonings. It's not just a book of ethics. It's super scientific, you know, which is beyond the concept of many just your average everyday thinking, which now calls for someone to say, okay, if this really happened, we need to find some evidence of this. You know, we need to prove this. We need to find out, you know, the core structure of did this really happen? Is this a figment of someone's imagination? Is it true? Did it happen? Was there a Krishna? Did he, you know, and according to his spiritual prowess and his Shakti, you know, it was second to none. What he could, you know, what he could do in terms of, you know, what we consider, wow, you know, miracles is ridiculous. So unless somebody goes, okay, we need to kind of see if there's any proof in this. We kind of need to do some research. You know, 5,000 years ago, you know, we're still struggling to understand the pandemic that happened 100 years ago. So imagine trying to unfold the truth of something that happened 5,000 years ago. You're going to be in a predicament. They say, where do we start? So when the evidence starts to rise now that there's archaeological, geographical, as well as astronomical proof, now you have to say to yourself, well, on a minute, okay, so there was a Krishna. Okay, so the evidence of things, you know, it's there, it's right there. Oh Lord, this is some big something now. Where do we go from here? So, archaeological evidence. The Rosetta Stone, or the key to Krishna's story, is Dwarka. Dwarka is a city that he literally built by himself, not by himself, but the energies. Overnight, as scripture would tell it, overnight. When he went to, he left the tribe of, he left his tribe in Vrindavan and went to Mathura to go deal with Kansa, the king that at the time that he was fighting, that was pressuring. And he said, you know, sir, because a long time Kansa actually wanted to kill Krishna from birth, and just, you know, he sent armies of people to try and kill him. None of it worked. And Krishna was like, you know something, he fed up on this milk, man. I'm going to go start him out. And he, at 18, he left Vrindavan, went to Mathura, killed Kansa, the king, killed him. Jovially, no stress. Now, Kansa had family. He had brothers that were also demon-like, that ruled other territories, and they was really upset. There was obviously Kansa, their brother got killed, and they waged war on Krishna. And there was about 17 wars that happened in Mathura. And at that time, when Krishna killed Kansa, the people of Mathura started to get behind Krishna and realize, you know, again, he straightened out a lot of things while he was there. They raised him to princehood. When he killed Kamsa, they said, "Nah, man, you're bigger than a tribesman. You are our prince. Come in. You're the Dan. Come. You have a world office." They wanted to make him the king. He said, "No, but I don't want to be no king. No. I'm good as I am, mate. But now you must be prince then. You must be prince, okay? You must be prince at least." Okay, But you never hear the phrase Prince Krishna. Never. Okay? It's something the title were then given. So, and this is because primarily he was running the principles of how that state should be governed. And now the other brothers of Kamsa was waging war on Mathura, and it was about 17 battles, and they didn't win any. But the suffering that the people of Mathura was going through at the time, Krishna said, "No, I'm going to move everybody down. I'm going to move. We're moving out of this now because he was okay, but the bloodshed and the injury that the people then was going through because of the war and so forth. He said, "Now, come, let's move." And he created the city of Dwarka for everyone for his movement to move to Dwarka and be protected by the walls of Dwarka. So the strongest archaeological support comes from the structures discovered in the late 1980s under the siege off the coast of modern Dwarka in Gujarat by a team of archaeologists and divers led by Dr. S.R. Rao. In his book, The Lost City of Dwarka, published in 1999, he writes about his underseas finding. The discovery is an important landmark in the history of India, he says. It has set to rest the doubts expressed by historians about the historicity of Mahabharat and the very existence of Dwarka city. Because when Krishna left, Dwarka sunk under sea. That was part of the prophecy. He told Arjuna, "When I leave, this city will sink." And as he left, the seas came in and flooded Dwarka. And it was literally now, as scripture would have it, Dwarka was just a name, just a memory. Buried under sea. And in them times, you can understand they didn't have the suits and the technologies and whatever that we have today, where we can now go and examine and see if there is anything under the sea that verifies what scripture says. So I'm going to share a video with you at this point. Give me a second. And let me just dial it up. Excellent, right. So when you add them, I start to wear out, you have to just go and take your time, little, and then slowly. Right. Where are we? Here we go. Right, people. Beloved family, watch this video. Here we go.
As time marches on, archaeologists all over the world have been discovering ancient cities that were once thought to be myths or legends. Troy, Xanadu, Helic, Great Zimbabwe, Lepus Magna, Heraklion, La Ciudad Blanca, Iram of the Pillars, Mysossar, and Urkesh are but just a few of these lost cities which were eventually forgotten with the passage of time until some wanderer or historian accidentally or intentionally discovered the ruins. Thanks to these people, we came to know of these hidden beautiful places in the world, and it seems there is no end to the list of the lost cities of the ancient world. Among them, the ancient city of Dwarka is perhaps the most profound. Until recently, the very existence of the city of Dwarka was relegated to the category of myth. There are numerous legends about the city. The most prominent one is found in the ancient epic of the Mahabharata. It is well established that events described in the epic took place at around 3100 BCE. After defeating and killing his uncle Kansa, Krishna decided to migrate with his people from Mathura to Dwarka with a purpose of establishing a new city. According to the legend, he reclaimed 96 square kilometers of land from the sea to do it. It is said that to build the city, Krishna summoned Vishwakarma, the architect of demigods who supposedly constructed Dwarka in one day. The Mahabharata gives many detailed descriptions of the ancient glorious city. Quote, "The city was filled with the sounds of birds and bees flying about the parks and pleasure gardens, while its lakes, crowded with blooming lotuses, resounded with the calls of swans and cranes. Dwarka boasted 900,000 royal palaces, all constructed with crystal and silver and splendorously decorated with huge emeralds. Inside these palaces, the furnishings were bedecked with gold and jewels." Traffic moved along a well laid out system of boulevards, roads, intersections, and marketplaces, and many assembly houses and temples of demigods graced the charming city. The roads, courtyards, commercial streets, and residential patios were all sprinkled with water and shaded from the sun's heat by banners waving from flagpoles. According to the Bhagavad Purana, Dwarka was attacked by King Salva using his Vimana. The description of the battle suggests it was fought with advanced technology and weapons, potentially even with a craft attacking from orbit. The spacecraft commenced an attack on the city with the use of energy weapons, which to the onlookers resembled a discharge of lightning, and it was so devastating that after the attack, most of the city lay in ruins. He besieged the city with a large army, O best of the Bharatas, disseminating the outlying parks and gardens, the mansions along with their observatories, towering gateways and surrounding walls, and also the public recreation areas. From his excellent Vimana, he threw down a torrent of projectiles. A fierce vortex arose and blanketed the entire area with billowing dust. Lord Krishna counterattacked and fired his weapons on the ship. They looked like arrows, yet they roared like thunder and shone like rays of the sun when released. This description sounds more like a modern-day missile. According to the Mahabharata, the city was flooded and submerged by the Arabian Sea. The sea, which has been beating against the shores, suddenly broke the boundary that was imposed on it by nature. It rushed into the city, coursing through the beautiful city streets and covered up everything in the city. I saw the beautiful buildings becoming submerged one by one. In a matter of a few moments, it was all over. The sea had now become as placid as a lake. There was no trace of the city. Dwarka was just a name, just a memory. The Vishnu Purana also mentions the submersion of Dwarka, stating, "On the same day that Krishna departed from the earth, the powerful dark-bodied Kali age, the age of vice, descended. The oceans rose and submerged the whole of Dwarka." If you were to research the lost city of Dwarka nowadays, one of the first things you will notice on the internet is a great many articles and blogs that lead you to believe that this was a recent discovery. And in relative terms, one could make that assertion. However, the first excavations began nearly 100 years ago in the 1930s, around the island of Bet Dwarka, which is about 30 kilometers north of the modern-day Dwarka. More excavations were conducted in the 1960s, but yielded no conclusive results. In the 1980s, Dr. S.R. Rao with the Marine Archaeology Unit of the National Institute of Oceanography undertook an extensive search of the city along the coast and finally succeeded in finding it off the Gujarat coast. Between 1983 and 1990, The well-fortified township of Dwarka was discovered, extending more than half a mile from the shore. Dwarka extended up to Bet Dwarka in the north and Okamati in the south. Eastward, it extended up to Pindara. The general layout of the city of Dwarka described in ancient text agrees with that of the submerged city discovered by the MAU. In his work, The Lost City of Dwarka, Dr. Rao outlined the scientific details of these discoveries and artifacts. According to him, the clue to the existence of ancient Dwarka near the modern town of Dwarka was found during archaeological excavation near the Dwarkadish temple in 1979 and 80. Eroded debris and pottery provided evidence of a port town destroyed by sea about 3,500 years ago. This evidence is what led to the early excavations in the Arabian Sea near the mouth of the Gamadi River, where the modern town of Dwarka stands. Dwarka was supposed to have been built on 6 blocks, 2 on the right bank and 4 on the left. All the 6 sectors have protective walls built of dressed stones of sandstone. Whatever has been traced so far conforms to the description of Dwarka in the Mahabharata to a large extent. Similarly, the large number of stone anchors is indicative of overseas trade. The large ships were anchored to the sea, whereas the small ones were near to the warehouses on the Gamadi, part of which has been submerged. The layout of the excavated city, the spread and location of fort walls, and the bastions matched the descriptions mentioned in the Harivamsha, a prologue to the Mahabharata. Harivamsha described the city of Dwarka in minute details. According to it, the area of Dwarka was 12 yojanas. It was connected to the mainland by a strip, which is visible even now in low tide. The city excavated is of the same size. The Harivamsha, detailing the security arrangements, says that there were seals without which one could not enter the city. Seals of a particular description were found on the seabed. A stone image of Vishnu, chert blades, and pottery are all part of the recovered objects. Certain coins were found during excavations underwater, having inscriptions similar to details found in the Mahabharata. The reclamation of land from waterlogged areas referred to in the Mahabharata in order to build the city is also attested to by boulder foundations over which walls and bastions were raised. In 2001, the students of the Institute of Oceanography Technology were commissioned by the Indian government to do a survey on pollution in the Gulf of Combat, 7 miles from the shore. During the survey, they found buildings made of stones covered in mud and sand covering 5 square miles. Divers collected blocks, samples, artifacts, and copper coins, which scientists believe is the evidence from an age that is about 3,600 years old. Some of the samples were sent to Manipur and Oxford universities for carbon dating, and the results created more suspicion since some of the objects were found to be 9,000 years old. The NIOT returned for further investigation in the Gulf from October 2002 to January 2003. During these excavations, the NIOT reported finding 2 paleo channels flanked by rectangular and square basement-like features. Artifacts were recovered by means of dredging, including pottery shards, microliths, wattle and daub remains, and hearth materials. In January 2007, the Underwater Archaeology Wing of the Archaeological Survey of India began excavations at Dwarka yet again. But the work on further excavation has met a formidable roadblock in the form of academic indifference and government apathy. It seems India's central government no longer has much interest in the excavations at Dwarka or the one at the Gulf of Cambay. Based on the correlation between the excavated structures and artifacts with the description of Dwarka in the Harivamsha Purana, and the fact that the carbon dating of artifacts falls around 3500 BCE, the same period concluded by many astronomers as the period of the Mahabharata War and the submersion of Dwarka, it is more than reasonable to conclude that the excavated site near Bet Dwarka is indeed the legendary city of Dwarka. Studies have proven that the sea considerably and suddenly rose to submerge the city. The Harivamsha describes the submerging of Dwarka, saying, Krishna instructed Arjuna, who was then visiting Dwarka, to evacuate the residents as the sea was going to engulf the city. On the 7th day, as the last of the citizens were leaving the city, the sea entered the streets of Dwarka. According to experts, there could have been three reasons why the sea entered the land. One, a change in the level of seabed. Two, a massive earthquake. And three, sudden increase in the level of seawater. Of the three, the last is the most plausible. If it was a change in the level of seabed, some remains of the tearing off action on the shore would be visible, which is absent. Earthquake can be ruled out as the structures have not collapsed because of the shake. The third reason seems most plausible, as a similar phenomenon had occurred on the shores of Bahrain around the same time, as some recent findings indicate. It is to be noted here that considerable work has been done onshore and offshore in Bahrain, which has indicated trade and other relations between the western coast of India and the coast of present-day Bahrain. It may seem surprising that the majority of academia has taken little notice of the findings at Dwarka. In its early days, the project received UNESCO support, and several foreign marine archaeologists also offered help. Unfortunately, the government's indifference to the project has kept them away. But when you consider that this discovery threatens to upend academia's current historical timeline and paradigm, it really is not all that surprising they would choose to ignore it and continue disseminating their own fiction.
Jeez. Right there you have it. Right there you have it. The city was found, and the same Indian government put a stop to discovering any more about the city. Why? Why you want to stop? You find something profound that could change the course of history and the mindset of the entire planet. Why you stop? Why? Anyway, this is not about vexation. Let me just get back to my slides now. Where are we? Here we go. Lovely. Right. So, history, people. History. That was a very insightful little tip of the iceberg, and there's many things that we can go into. I just wanted to share that with you, just to show you that the place of dwelling, which is really, really important. If you can't find where someone said that they used to live, the world thing mash up. Okay, start from here. No, why did you do this? Okay. Press the wrong button. Bear with me, bit simple. Okay, so Sri Krishna was a Vasudev. Vasudev means he enjoys everything in this world, yet he is worthy of liberation, worthy of moksha. And this is the core of what, there's many, people say, yeah, Krishna came to teach bhakti yoga or this. Like, none of the yogas are actually separate from each other. Like, all of them help to develop an aspect of each other within them until you reach that point of where it's pure bhakti, pure renunciation. Everything leads to that. So within that process of leading, there's karma, which is karma, C-A-R-M-A. There's C-A-M-A, there's Artha, and then there's Moksha. So, and in these 4 stages of life, Dharma, getting your Dharma right, there's no reason why you cannot enjoy a life of fulfillment and reach liberation. This is what the core teachings of what Krishna wasn't just a sage in the hills and just a Brahmin or a sage in the Himalayas. You have to go, it's outside of. No, he was right in the middle of the thick of things and proving, that the power of this knowledge, because a part of the concept of the knowledge was eroded, it was perverted. And the war at the time of the war of Kurukshetra, chapter 2, between chapters 2 and chapter 4, Krishna was saying to Arjuna, this knowledge has been lost, and I've come back to reinstall the faith in the knowledge, especially at the time of Kali, especially at this time, because these are the things that people need to get into their heads, into their minds, to understand how to become a Vasudeva Krishna. How can you enjoy everything in this world and reach a place of moksha, liberation? And at that time, just imagine, at that time, you had so many different sectors of people that just was not allowed to live. They were given their parameters, limited. You can only do this, you can only go so much. Everybody was pocketed in society. And this pocketing in society was ruining people by the mass. At the core, this is what Krishna came to destroy in the mindset, especially. Regardless, because come Kali Yuga, governments are going to still be trying to do it anyway. But once you've empowered the individual, because outside, before Kali, before Gita, it was never about the individual. The individual had no chance of even mentioning to say that, at the core of this, and it's going to come up shortly. I don't want to preempt it. At the core of this, see that saying, boy, don't let others judge you, or don't let others tell you what you can do from what you can't do. I'm not going to speak it out because it's going to come up shortly. So Sri Krishna was a Vasudeva. Vasudeva means he enjoys everything in this world, yet he is worthy of moksha. A Vasudeva has extraordinary superhuman energies and accomplishments. Let's roll on. Everything that one sees. Now this is it. Everything that one sees and experiences through the five senses has no impact and is of no value as far as the karmic account of the next life is concerned. None. What is of significance is one's inner intent. This has a direct impact in binding of new karma. The inner intent happens simultaneously during all overt and external activities. So, this is something really deep to really contemplate here, because the actions are not what's being judged. It's the intent behind the actions. And at the core of it, when we reach Gita chapter 4, when Krishna starts to teach karma yoga, how to perform action without attachment, this is the process of freeing yourself from all kind of bondages, from freeing yourself from all kind of concepts, from freeing yourself from all kinds of mental enslavement. You see, at these times when people had no choice, you were literally told what to do and you follow order. And it's just got worse and worse and worse and worse. The biggest message that Gita came to teach was think for yourself. Think for yourself. Intend for yourself. That's the greatest the greatest, people talk about bhakti yoga and all of these things. The biggest secret, the biggest yoga that Krishna spoke of in Gita was Bodhi Yoga, intelligence, Bodhi Yoga, not Bhakti, Bodhi Yoga. And that Bodhi Yoga is all about one's inner intent. Have you got the power, the willpower to rise up to what it is that you intend to do to overcome whatever the situation it is that you see in front of you? What is the quality of your intention to rise above any form of obstacles? What's the quality of your intention behind any of your actions? Is it egotistical based? Is it, we can go for a list of it, but the real secret of the science of Bhagavad Gita, which is hardly ever spoken of, is Bodhi Yoga, intelligence, yoga of the intelligence. And once you get the yoga of the intelligence right, then Bhakti will fall into place. Then all of Kriya will fall into place. Then Hava will flow into place. But if your intelligence and your understanding of who you are is gone kaput, then you don't stand a chance. So nurturing, remember, your intelligence can only operate on the basis of the knowledge that it knows. And if the knowledge is corrupt, then your intelligence will be corrupt. It's simple as that. If you don't have the right knowledge, then there's not enough, there's no reference points for your intelligence to refer to battle the mind, to battle the reasoning capacity. Because if your reasoning faculty has got, if the knowledge is insufficient or inappropriate, then you will never make the right choices. So yoga of the intelligence is the super secret, the supreme secret of Gita, which nobody ever hardly talks about. Everybody's on this bhakti, this, that. None of these things can come together until you get your intelligence vibrating on that right level that allows you to act on a high quality of intellectual choices. Okay? And this is the real secret of what Gita is all about, what managing your karma is all about, managing your process of detachment. And you can't just say, okay, tomorrow morning I'm just going to be intelligent and that's it. I'm there. I'm super. No. When you hear me talk about 0.5% increment every day towards the higher self, I better you take that part and take stock and check of your growth until you know that you're intelligently sound, your intelligence is, your knowledge is sound, and you're not gonna budge, you're not gonna sway back, or you're not gonna drift back, or you're not gonna backslide, and all of these things, you see? So, in the sense, groom your intelligence, flower your intelligence, prune your intelligence, trim off the leaves with dead. Knowledge that's no use to you. Again, be very careful of the knowledge that you let into your intelligence because it sticks to it. Consciousness is of such that it picks up things that you are not even paying attention to, much less that you're paying attention to it. You know, today I saw something really disturbing in the WhatsApp group. I was like, what on earth? My gosh, where is your minds going? Why on earth are you taking this in? What the hell is going on? I was going to cuss 2 bad words. I was like, no, man. This is unintelligent. This is destruction to the mind. This is destruction to self-value. This is unintelligent. We're dancing with demons. We're allowing demons to press our buttons again. These are the things that Krishna was challenging in the first instant. This is where Krishna placed. Oh, man. Let me move on before we broke down here, sir. So, the Brahma Vaivata Purana tells us Krishna is the ultimate source from which Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and Prakriti originate. He is Swavayam Bhagavan, while other incarnations are his partial manifestations. We're not even going to go into that too deep. We all understand that. something come from somewhere, and everything comes from the one. That one is represented in Vedic Vedantic knowledge as coming from the black one, Krishna, the source. Okay, this is what Vedanta says. And when we look at the lifestyle, when we look at all the aspects and, you know, the life story, this is even before you get to Gita. Once you look at the life, Krishna Lila, it really does depict and explain and really show in perfect detail something as simple as this, how something comes from something. There's a oneness and then there's many. There's, you know, and he lived that perfect life of exemplary aptitude, so the world can see by his example, not what just came out of his mouth. Like I said, he wasn't just someone in the Himalayas chanting on beats. He was engaged in life at the highest level. He's what you would consider the first, you know, like full manifestation of all powers. And when he came to lick, chop off head. He was ruthless. He did not allow no one to take no form of liberties with him or none of his people. He weren't having it. He was the greatest warrior of all time. Not his time, all time. He was the greatest teacher of all time. He was the greatest companion, friend with of all time. And hear the stories and how he led himself as you know, selfless, always helping. This one needs help, that one needs help. He's there for the call. He's putting in the work and so forth. And you know, the more he's helping, the more he's charged to do even more and more. There was just no stopping him. There was no stopping. And at times he would say, go and do this puja, or go and do that puja. Puja is like a ceremony in which where you're dealing with the partial manifestations. So at the same time, he didn't disrespect the partial manifestations. He had them there, and he explained the partial manifestations are there for a reason, so they can be dealt with partially. I deal with things wholly. My job is to deal with things wholly. If you can't manage the whole, go deal with the part where you can manage. That was his message. If you can't manage me wholly, go and deal with the part that you can, or go and deal with the part that you need. And when you finish deal with the part that you need, then you come back to me and then we can roll on. Because that which you're lacking, we don't have time for. I deal with the world thing. I got my thing as my incarnation is the wholeness of what Godhead is supposed to represent. So I have no time for no little thing. I ain't got no time for nobody to take liberty with me. Krishna was ruthless. He didn't give nobody no chance, no time, nothing. So let's dig in deeper, because there's some things that I want to talk about, and I'm just holding my tongue on it because I'm waiting for the slide to come up to bring into that. So the reason why most doubt Krishna's existence at all is because of the web of lies spun by European Indologists who first appeared on the scene in the 19th century. These scholars, some of who had never set foot in India and did not even bother to study Sanskrit. They just spread lies. One, these Indologists were not Indophiles. They did not come to seek the truth. They were in fact racists and imperialists, okay? Convinced of the need to invade India and create a class of people willing to serve the British loyally. And this is this period when the word Hinduism came about. Hinduism, they weren't calling themselves Hindus. It's the British that give them this title at this time. So the British wanted to destroy everything Indians took pride in. This is what they do whenever they mash up the thing. If it's Africa, they do the same thing. Wherever, this is their trait. This is what demons do. Okay? 2, these so-called scholars, I see, I hope, Kevin, I hope you're all right. I see you diving in and out of the room there. I hope everything's all right with yourself. I hope your connection is good. So anyway, 2, these so-called scholars were also fired by the zeal of spreading Christianity. When the Europeans first came into contact with learned Indians and their historical texts, they were shocked to learn that Indian history predated their world by thousands of years. It clashed with their religious belief that their gods had created the earth 4,000 years ago. And I've heard that in some scenarios, in some churches. I've heard this nonsense. So for the missionaries, destroying the historicity by destroying the historicity of Krishna was imperative if they had any chance of establishing their religion in India. By labeling as myth the Indian historical sources like the Vedas, Mahabharata, Upanishads, and especially the Puranas, which gave exact chronologies of Indian kings, including Krishna, the missionaries ensured that Indian history and tradition facilitated the process of colonizing the Indian mind. Them dirty people. You see it? However, the truth is always difficult to suppress. Using archaeological, scriptural, literary, and astronomical data, scholars and scientists are coming round to the view that Krishna was definitely a historical figure. There's no doubt about it. The proof is now coming up to, and you know, they might say it's a moment too late, but no, better late than never. As far as I'm concerned, God, is it? These things are imperative to understand. So this is where the real crux of, this is where the belly really starts to burn. This is really now hitting the final furlough as to understanding the whole mindset, the whole reason, the whole principle of why Krishna was here was even in the first place, what Kali Yuga was all about, what remember Kali Yuga is about the lowering of relativity of understanding of who you are. You're losing your consciousness, you're losing yourself, you're losing any idea of divinity. You're now stuck in that space of tamasic living. You see? Now, I don't even want to read the screen. I hope I can't read it. I hope I don't even want to read it. I just don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. Because these are the things that make you feel sick. India has the most number of slaves globally. India has the highest number of slaves in the world, with estimates ranging from 14 million to 18 million slaves in India. And this is being echoed around the world. But India with 18 million, okay, the next one in line is China, and they've got 8 million. But today, India has around 18 million people in slavery. And they support all aspects of slavery, from child sex slavery, the whole 9 yards. Slave labor with clothes for manufacturers, shoes, blah, blah. You see, between India, Africa, Congo, and these places. Now, the drama is, like, okay, so with Congo and Africa, I mean, the one of the government, they mash up, man. They're all in on this poisonous mindset of Kali. They don't care about the average person. They just don't care. To them, they're still living in a figmentation of the past in terms of this bloodline foolishness. You know, Rockefellers, blah di da di da. What family are you coming from? You know, and all of this business. And this was the core thing that destroyed millions of people through that transition, and is still doing it today, and is still the highlight of where we're going in the future with this virtual reality and this trap on consciousness to trap people into this frame of non-existence where they feel they're existing for a small little minute aspect, and then when they come and they plug out of this existence that you allow them to live, they don't feel like shit, excuse my French. This is the war on consciousness. This is the war that Gita was eloquently prepared itself for in leaving a message for this time to get your mindset out of the rut. Not just for Indians, worldwide, but just as a point of reference, people. India has the most slaves globally, 18 million slaves, and this is how they bind them up. When they working, this is how they bind them up. When they want to go and trap people, slaves out of the, out of places where, they consider these people ain't worth nothing in their little villages in the jungle. Now let's just round them up, bind them up, and just use them when we're ready to use them for some actions. Then we'll unloosen the rope. This is not no makeup picture. It's terrible, people. It's terrible, and this is the core of really what Gita is all about. People think it's just about righteous and evil and no, it's something deeper, something really deeper. So despite laws that aim to create equality, the caste system in India continues to have a strong impact on society. You heard me talking about this when I was talking about Yajurveda and the need to cultivate military science. So these demonic mindseted people that want to control the mass, we could form tools to fight them back. This is one of the things that Ethiopia was proud of in their history. This is what led Ethiopian knowledge down into places such as India to help even in that place. This is deep stuff, people. The system has led to the upper castes being privileged over the lower caste, and guess what is still going on today? Which were often repressed by those higher up on the caste scale. One of the Srila Prabhupada, who brought Vedantic knowledge to the West, and just to show you how much he got it wrong. This is why I would never put a foot in ISKCON. And this is not disregarding the knowledge, because where ISKCON is coming from, where Prabhupada is coming from, is totally wrong. And I can prove that without a shadow. He, I don't want to talk against any form of, but as truth has it, Prabhupada's guru gave himself his own initiation into the path. He made up his own spiritual lineage and decided to start initiating people. He didn't come from no true spiritual lineage. He made up his own lineage and then initiated Prabhupada and said to Prabhupada, now go to the West and teach this knowledge. Just to show you how bad they're so off key with understanding the spiritual aspect of the caste system, because there is a spiritual equivalent that has got nothing to do with you being black, white, pink, blue. That has got nothing to do with your birth. It's got nothing to do with your place of residence. It's got nothing to do with these things, but just to show you how corrupt, even down to Prabhupada, who is so loved dearly, built 64 temples worldwide. And this is what he had to say about Shudra being the lowest class of the caste system. Listen, Shudra is to be controlled only. Not knowing, let me just not even go any further. Sudra, any one of us can be Sudra at any time of the day. It's an energy, it's a way of being. We can be of all the caste systems in one day. We can be Brahmanical, we can be warriors, we can be workers, and we can just plug out and just do mundane things that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. It's a lifestyle. Where is it now? This is governed. The idea of the spiritual caste system is about your baseline state, not your physical being, not your birth, not the color of your skin. Nothing. It's about your mindset. What is the quality of your body yoga? This determines where you are on the scale. Now, Krishna had no problem with the idea of Sudra because people was considering him in Sudra. He was saying, listen, Sudras, come to me, I'll defend you. I will defend you. I will stand your ground. Because all of this bull crap is more of the perversion to keep mankind as a whole subdued. Now, listen to what Prabhupada had to say. Okay? Sudra is to be controlled. They are never given to be free, just like in America. The blacks were slaves. Now, they were under control. And since you have given them equal rights, they are disturbing, most disturbing, always creating fearful situation, uncultured and drunkards. It was known that Prabhupada was racist. That is best to keep them under control as slaves, but give them sufficient food, sufficient cloth, not more than that. Then they will be satisfied. Yo, my lad, lucky. See, now the drama is, you see, even down to his passing, it wasn't a very nice one. His passing, it was not a very, his burial was not, it was completely out of tradition, out of sync. And somewhere along the line, my mind is telling me, boy, karma lick you in a way that you had to be taken out in the most unpleasant ways because of certain things that you was promoting was just not right. And just, you know, for me as a black man to come up with this knowledge and overpass these obstacles and blockages, because again, there's more shit in the way for me not to see the truth. You see? It has been more than 5,000 years now since Lord Krishna existence, yet even today people worship him with utter reverence and take his name with so much of adoration in their heart. Why? Why? People. The caste during the Mahabharata period, around the time when Krishna was alive. A person in the Mahabharata society derived his position and rights by virtue of being a member of a given caste group rather than an individual on the strength of his merits. The questions of his status, his inheritance, as also those of his offsprings were decided in the context of his sub-caste group. The matter would usually be fairly simple and well laid out when both the husband and wife belong to the same caste group, but it would get rather complicated when man and woman belongs to different caste groups. This was the core reason behind arranged marriages. Mahabharata is full of stories of arranged marriages that start to pop down and break down, and Krishna, come help me, please. Say, what the hell are they doing to me? Oh my gosh, what on earth is going on? I can't have nothing to do with this caste system. And these were people that were in the caste system at the higher end, both higher and lower, and they're getting trampled on, they're getting bullied, they're getting, you know, a lot of people, you know, when you, Karna, he was a great warrior in the Mahabharata. Again, he was despised and looked down upon because of a caste system, not because of his merits. It's because of how people viewed people in accordance to their caste. Where do you belong? Which group? You had no form of individuality about you. None. That was out of the question. Okay, let's move on. It is important to understand the matrix of the then prevailing caste system. The question of caste and the systems of its classifications and sub-classifications played a crucial role in the story of Mahabharata from the get-go. You know how much time I watched Mahabharata? Blood, dickens. From the get-go, from when King Bharat himself decided not to give one of his own sons the kingdom because he saw that they were worthless. And he was the first person to say, you know something, I'm never brought this caste system because I can see it's just not working. And the uproar that is caused, even his own sons turned against him. That everything just started. And in all the midst of this, then here comes this little black boy from the Doridian clan. Who is this? Coming to mash up the problem. What is this? So they have to learn to respect the team. You understand? So the question of caste and the systems of its classifications and sub-classifications played a crucial role in the story of Mahabharata, and particularly in the lives of those disadvantaged ones. The caste spread its tentacles deep into every aspect of the Mahabharata society and had a vice-like stranglehold over matters concerning one's positions and rights in the society, as also the matters related to property, rights, inheritance, etc. So even, this is the thing, even if, you know, if you're not, if you wasn't a part of a caste system that was allowed to accept inheritance, that inheritance went straight to someone else. No, that comes to us. Now, when your parents dead, because you're blah, 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 because you're Sudra, because you're Dravidian, because you're black, because no, that's ours. No, hey, we kill you. Hey, enough. That was the pressure. The Mahabharata society was viewed as a community made up of distinct caste groups. Its specific position in social hierarchy, its economic and social functions, rights and responsibilities of each group were well recognized and articulated. The science of Bhagavad Gita was all about addressing a bad situation that was getting worse by clarifying that the four-way classifications was indeed based on one's merit or excellence, sattva, guna, and functions, karma, It's down to you. But this, you see, when the science of Gita dropped, it was like, oh, I'm allowed to think. Oh, I'm allowed to actually apply something different and see a different end result. Oh, if I think like this and I act like this, and worst of all, Krishna came and gave the example. It's not just talk now. It's here. I've seen someone do it, and many's after him. What? You see? Okay. So we can view the atrocities that the Vrishni tribe, the Yadavas, the clan went through because of what was happening around the time of Krishna's growing up, and this could all be found in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 4, which directly tells you of the atrocities of King Kansa, and as to why Krishna, not why, Krishna always had it in mind that he's going to kill him, but he was on the death list. He was on the death list like, me, don't worry, me, I'll come round to you. But now I left you out, my lad, you're dead. Don't watch nothing. Hold on there, sir. Is it? Lord Krishna speaks to Arjuna as he clarifies the origin and purpose of the caste system in Sanatana Dharma, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, sloka 13. And this is where he really spells it out and spits it out. A caste is determined by temperament and vocation, not by birth or hereditary. Uno get it all wrong. Uno I use spiritual knowledge and I try corrupt people's mortal ways of living. You're disempowering people. You've taken spiritual knowledge and you've polluted it and converted it and turning it upside down on its head, and now you're casting people, you're judging people completely wrong. You see it? So, Krishna ultimately, through the whole of his life, exemplary, has turned into being a symbol for the supreme beauty and bliss of life. He is a symbol for luxury, beauty, and happiness. He teaches us to live our Bodhi Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Kriya Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, all of these things which live by our divine word, unite within. Live our yoga, meaning to stay in union with the God within. That is the science and the true understanding of what Bhagavad Gita is all about. Once you can really understand that it is a symbol, it's a message that beautifies your mind, brings luxury to you, that you feel luxurious within yourself, not trodden down on like how people want you to feel. It gives you a sense of inner luxury, your spirit, your beauty, happiness, and it teaches you to stay in unification with the divine within. That is the core message of the Gita. And now next week, now I've laid that foundation, next week we're going to be diving into chapters 1 to chapters 4 and looking at them in real detail of understanding the word now. So I hope, yes, that is the last slide. I hope you all saw some deep insight into that in laying down the foundation of who Krishna is, why Krishna was he was. We haven't even gone into the Godhead aspect. We're just talking about an individual who turned up and stood up for truth about who you are and who you can become. Enjoying the process of becoming greater, be victorious, and come out of the idea of any form of caste system. Break that all away. Step away from those that hate you. Step away from racist vibes. Step away from, it just goes on and on and on. But this is the core of what Krishna represented. It's not just, some people take it like a biblical concept in terms of, you're a sinner, this, that. No, forget all of that. That's all nonsense. We highlight exactly what the original sin is, the caste system being perverted. And this is because that alone destroys the platform of perception to allow you to believe that you can be godlike. There you go. The caste system destroys the platform of perception that allows you to believe that you can be godlike. And until we get that completely out of our heads, even in our modern day trod, whether we're coming up against, Europeans, whoever it is that want to look down on us, we have to know that we're greater than what the eyes can, they might be looking at us as, who's you? No, understand that who's you is the power within. The power is within. You understand? The power is within. So, boy, very passionate subject. So, I'm not willing to no further. So yes, I would love to see your comments on that one tonight. Beautiful. Hare Krishna. Yes, Sadhana, you know the thing, man. Bless up, Sadhana. Yes, Michelle, it's very deep. Wow, says Yvonne, it's another one. Yeah, it is actually, it's heart rendering. It can draw tears from you. It does make you feel sick and sad inside. But once we really understand at the core, because once a true devotee can really express the truth of where this knowledge is coming from, and forget all the rest of it. You understand? Forget about this and that, and really start from there. And check yourself, because we all suffer from living by labels. And this is it. We have to destroy labels. We're not a label, because that label limits us to someone putting us in a box. And the minute that happens, you kind of put yourself on a back footer. You're greater than any label. This is what Gita is teaching you. You're greater than any label. You're greater than all of these names. You're greater than any box that someone's trying to fit you in and push you in. Regardless of the past, what's happened culturally, what's happened socially, when you decide to align with this knowledge that makes you align with the greatness within and become an example of the greatness within, nothing in the world can stop you. Nothing in the world. Just by you don't even have, just take Krishna out of it and just listen to what he's got to say. And see if you can feel any resonance in the knowledge. And this is what we're going to be going through next week. Now we've described Krishna as a character and his disposition, and what he wants for you, the individual, not the class, not the group, you, the individual, you. He doesn't class you in the caste system. You're doing it to yourself. You understand? Those measurements are there for you to measure yourself as to where you're at. He only sees your enthusiasm and your love to become greater within. He only sees the love that you have for yourself first. And any love that you have for yourself, he gladly accepts it as the same as loving him. It's the same, because you and him are one. He doesn't want you to have a miserable life experience where you're judged by society as something that you're not. He doesn't want you to have a life experience where you're now acting on other people's perceptions of who you are. You'd rather not do this and show yourself up because you see yourself lower than. Most of our actions, most of our diplomacies are based on not letting our light shine because we don't want to outshine the demon. We don't want to stand up to the demon. We don't want to lick shot against the demon. We kind of subdue, like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right. Let me just keep quiet. Let me just hope I'm not noticed in the mix. Let me just shrink. Let me just see if I can come out of view. Let me see if I can just stay out of the picture and just stay in the background quietly. No, man, no. You see, when you align with this knowledge, you are that fearless warrior. And on top of being a fearless warrior, you're a fearless lover of life. You're a fearless giver of life. You're a fearless friend of all. You are fearless beauty. You are fearless compassion. You are divine fearlessly. Is it? Okay. Wow. Steve. Oh man, Sister Sadhana, I know, man. She shed some tears. I'm with you. It's heartbreaking. Seriously, it really is. Sister Sadhana, she's from India herself, and she couldn't wait to come on this course and to just relate to the knowledge on a different higher level. And I'm feeling honored, and there's so much. I could cry myself right now just understanding this. I sincerely love Krishna. I'm saying it. What he stood for. Principally, whether he existed or not, whether it's a myth or not, whatever the case, at least I've come across this in some concept, in some idea, and it's what it's done for my life. Oh my gosh, what this knowledge has done for my life. You think I'm gonna put this down and go somewhere else? Nah, man, allow it. You see what I'm saying? Me and Krishna are one. I don't mind. Even if I'm wrong and it send me to hell, I'd rather take that path and stand up to some truth about what I believe I should be and who I should be and where I should be and how and all of these things. Not carry away into the darkness and hope and pray. Nah, man, allow that. Empower yourselves with truth. Empower yourself with divine love. Empower yourself with right-minded thinking. Empower yourself with right intention. Empower yourself with Bodhi Yoga, and everything else will fall into place. Empower yourself. Yeah. Yes, brother, Sister Michelle. Brother Kevin, yes, I see. Bless up, people. Bless up so much. I know it's so much to take in. Dare I say, India, as you can see, we can't bicker about locations. There's a part, you might think that, this is a, we can't, my thing is above cultural reference. And when I say that, I truly, truly mean that. And within that, I know the pain that's been imposed on Africans, on Indians, on all on mankind as a whole. And within that, I know it's not our own are doing it to our own per se. It's a sect of society that is imposing. It's a sect. It's a sect. This is not going to stop me from loving my Indian brothers and sisters. This is not going to stop me from loving my African brothers and sisters. This is not going to stop me from loving my Cambodian brothers and sisters. This is not going to stop me from loving my Australian Aboriginal brothers and sisters. This is not going to stop me from loving my American Indian brothers and sisters. This is not going to stop me from loving my Chinese brothers and sisters. My mark of understanding who I am dealing with is got nothing to do with gender, race. No, those things are long gone out of my space of how to use discernment in learning of the quality of my association. The quality of my association is not based on race, age, sex, none of these things. Okay? There's inner qualities that you use to exemplify your personality. It's all about your personality. It's about you, the individual, the personality. How do you portray yourself? I'm associating with a personality, an individual. How do we vibrate? Is it in the mode of goodness? Okay, we can rock on all day, all night. Is it in the mode of passion? Okay, we can rock a little bit. Is it in the mode of ignorance? Why, that one there. That ignorance, that means you're out to destroy yourself and others around you. Most demons know that. Most demons that even are keeping up this stupid caste system, they know that they're destroying themselves and they ain't gonna stop destroying others around them. It's a sect of society. It's a mindset that we're dealing with, not a race. So don't use this. Do not use this information to look on our Indian brothers and sisters in any way different. We've all been scarred by the same. Look at, we have to know what demoniac behavior is and what is set its trend in terms of colonial historical. All we need to do is check the facts, and we can see how these demons have gone around the world. And these demons means to destroy that of which that they came from. That's the first description of a demon, of an asura. And all of these different races that we've tended to and groomed, and they just want to squash us and kill us out using lies, using deception, using all kinds of nonsense. Hitler trying to be the return of the Messiah, turning the swastika back to front again. All of these things, abusing the truth, abusing the knowledge, and blinding us. We got so much learning and growing up to do and healing and so forth. But the beautiful thing about it is that Bhagavad Gita makes it all possible. Bhagavad Gita makes it all probable. Bhagavad Gita has proven it to unify and bring about harmony through the quality of our personality. It's all about personality development. It's all about intelligence development. It's all about knowledge development, sattva development. And then we can grow, and then we can unite. So, yes, Sister Sadhana, I truly believe this year more people awakening and love will conquer. Yes, if we unite, light stronger than darkness. You see there, the light is always, it only takes 5 to overthrow the many. And right now, this is what I'm saying, the power of this group, as small as you think this is, do you see this little group here? Jeez, phenomenal. You see, once we get onto that track, and I can sense everybody's vibe, that the pathways are opening up to greatness because of this intelligence, Bodhi yoga. You understand? Once you start practicing Bodhi yoga to its highest, Bhakti yoga is not a problem, but it just comes in natural. But give it time. Don't beat yourself. Slowly. There's many things. First, let's consider the knowledge and consider the beauty of the knowledge and the empowerment of what it gives us, and then we can grow from there. So, people, I'm not killing them. It's been 2.5 hours again. Me and my Mo, Jesus. And imagine I wanted to squeeze in a chapter at the end to start chapter 1 and talk about chapter 1 and what Arjuna depicts for the future. But don't worry, we got next time, we got a whole heap of time now. Because this part here was very, very sensitive and very, I don't know what the word is very, I'm just praying, as always, that I've given the truth of what I know, some justice, that it resonates in word, sound, power, truth, and it's shared on that level that it empowers people, and it's accepted without disregard or disrepute and so forth, and it opens you, helps, inspires you to go and check and do more check and research. I will be sending out a copy of the Gita that I have for everybody in PDF form. So next week when we get together, we will be reading it together and we'll be picking up particular verses that sends a certain vibe and truth. There's very pertinent verses that summarizes each chapter eloquently. And then obviously I'm going to be giving you all homework to find out if you are actually reading the book. Okay? So without further ado, people, much love to you. Seriously, sincerely from the core of my heart, much love. I would not be even in this ain't got nothing to do with money, This course here, Science of the Gita, is hard. It's hard. This one's hard. And I hope I have your attention. I hope I have your sincere attention in terms of really embracing it on a whole different level to empower yourselves to be more than you've ever been in your entire life. Okay, so with that being said, people, Om Shanti, Namaste. Stay beautiful, stay in love with yourselves, stay bright. Om Shanti, Namaste.